all of a sudden, I'm seeing it. Back then, I thought she was a bit childish. All of that. But suddenly, she seems so mature now. Even more appealing. And she's very, well, respectful. Yes, respectful. And for some reason, I find that so endearing. I started to like her, and that's how feelings slowly began to develop. Feelings for her. Alright, hello everyone. Today I'm bringing you a story that's quite ironic and complicated. I'd like to share it with you. And if you find it interesting, please leave a comment to share your perspective. And now, here is a story from one of our listeners. Before, I was, well, a married man with a child. We're divorced now. My wife has already we have a son. When he was 20, he came home out of the blue. He demanded to get married. As for me, I'm 60 years old this year. My son is now, over 30. The two of us, father and son, life together. So this happened when he was just 20 years old. He was adamant about getting married. So I told him, you haven't finished your studies, you haven't gotten anywhere in life. You don't even have a job, so you can't earn money. How are you going to support a wife and child? But he just insisted on getting married. So our family had to do our best to organize the wedding for him, so they could get married. Because that girl was already pregnant. She was pregnant, and they lived together. But after just a couple of weeks, the girl had a miscarriage. And just like that, they broke up. That girl was also older than him. Then later, by chance, I was, near where I work. I often go out for coffee. Nowadays, when I have to meet clients, I do it at a coffee shop. And I ran into that daughter-in-law, my son's ex, right there. So we sat and talked for a while. We just sat there talking about this and that. And then I suddenly saw her in a new light. Suddenly, I saw she was so different now. And she's 26 years younger than me. As for me, generally speaking, before, I would occasionally see this person or that person, but I never considered getting married or anything. I mean, after my divorce, I never found anyone to marry. I had flings with this woman or that woman, but I never considered living with someone long term. I just wanted to have a stable life with my son. And then, by chance, I met my former daughter-in-law at that coffee shop. She, in turn, runs a coffee shop. So I went there to sit, and at first, it felt pretty natural. I used to think she was a bit childish back then. Now, all of a sudden, she seems so mature and more attractive, and she's very, well, respectful. And I found myself growing fond of her, liking her. So feelings started to gradually develop. Then she also, naturally, started to have feelings as well. In general, at the beginning, we only intended for it to be a relationship just for companionship. She was also living there by herself. A lot of times she needed help. Someone to, help bring in customers. And just to be around to help out. And for my part, I also wanted someone to talk to. Someone like a close confidant. But somehow, feelings ended up developing. And she pursued me so aggressively. So, I fell for her. Then, my son, well, he found out. Came over, and just gave everyone a piece of his mind. He yelled at me, and then he yelled at her. He really laid into us, saying all sorts of terrible things. It gave me a massive headache. He hasn't been with anyone since he left his wife. And now, this whole situation has me tied up in knots. I don't know what to do. I see. Thank you for sharing your story. It's a very unique one. You are 60. The woman is younger by 26 years. So she's about 30. You and your wife had a proper divorce. A proper one. Your wife has remarried, and you are currently living with your son. And your son is divorced and hasn't The father, however, is planning to get married to his former daughter-in-law. In short, it's like what you throw away I'll pick up. You're financially independent. You also have your own pension and income. Your own house. A house you built yourself. The land was from your parents, but you've already built on it. And that former daughter-in-law has feelings for the father and the father as well. The two of them are into each other now. Right now, she's also working, selling coffee, and she's all by herself. She hasn't remarried and doesn't have any children. Truthfully, the 26-year age difference isn't a big deal. Legally speaking, you know, you and your former daughter are complete strangers now, not blood relatives. There's no connection anymore. That's all in the past. However, in life, we don't just live by the law. There are also social norms. And then there's culture. So if you and she agree to go and register to get married, then it's likely the authorities will just go ahead and process the marriage registration for you. You'll become husband and wife. Simple as that. But when you live your life, you have to look ahead and behind you. You know, let's be honest, your son is going to be bitter. She used to be my wife, the one I cast aside, the one I was done with the already divorced. And now she's coming back to be my I don't even know what you would call that. That woman, back then, things were never good between her and her husband. Now she's coming back. Like, I don't want you. I'll take your dad instead. Of course, no one would say that out loud, but that's what it looks like. People will talk. They'll say something like father and son are sharing the same woman. First, it was the son. Now, it's the father. Coming and going. It'll be very hard to look each other in the face. Calling each other this or that will be exhausting. So, this is what I think you're getting. In years, of course, you have the need to bear love. The need to remarry and take a wife is a normal thing. So first, option 1 is for you to really think about whether it absolutely has to be this woman. Because if it was as if there was no one else on earth, only her, then fine. You could just accept it because there is no other choice. But if you still have options, it doesn't have to be her. Someone who has also had a marriage fall apart once. Someone who she has children, but her kids are all grown up now. You're 60, and she's maybe 47, 48, or 50. Still youthful and attractive. Still healthy. You can support each other. You have a pension. And she also has her own money, and so on. You could join forces to live together for the remainder of your lives, but to move forward with this, it wouldn't be without causing a scandal. Going forward with this former daughter-in-law is possible. Legally, it's allowed, but you would have to leave your home. You'd have to take each other to Arizona or Colorado to live. Go somewhere no one knows you, because if you stay in the village or in your hometown, first of all, it will be agony for your son. He'll be resentful, and you'll lose your son. I'm telling you, you'll lose that son of yours. He won't be happy about it. He'll see it as you stubbornly forcing the issue. He'll think, it's not like there's a shortage of women. Why did you have to, double quotes, marry my ex-wife and push me into a situation where every time I visit you, or if you're sick and I have to care for you, she'll be there caring for you too, but in a completely different role now. Imagine being in the same house and, at night, hearing your father and your own ex-wife rustling around over there, even though she's now your father's wife. It's just incredibly awkward. So, if you have to live your life always looking over your shoulder, and he's uncomfortable about this, and uncomfortable about that, it's hard to find happiness, my friend. Happiness is about having peace of mind, complete peace in your heart. So there it is. That's why I'm saying you should see if you can just stop at the stage of being lovers. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you don't have a wife, she doesn't have a husband. You can go out for coffee. If you want to, can hold each other. If you want to, can do whatever you want to do. It's not against the law. That's fine. But to get married and become husband and wife, that will bring countless hardships, and it involves many other people. It's not a good idea. Well then, that's the first option. The second option is, if you're determined to marry her, then you have to talk it over. You marry her, and legally, there's no problem. But in reality, it will be very hard on your son. And at home, your son wouldn't know how to act. Furthermore, there's the town gossip. Every time you go out, people will say the father is taking his son's leftovers, or something like that. Then you'll suffer. And she'd suffer too. In that case, you should save up some money, and she should see what can be done, and then you two should move somewhere else. It doesn't have to be too far. You could go down to the Great Lakes area now and open a coffee shop, just to get out of the public eye for a while. People will gossip, but they'll eventually get bored of it. Gradually, they'll just know that he's the man who married the woman who used to be his own son's wife, that he's the one who married her, but they took off somewhere to start a business. Over time, it'll die down, and you can slowly make your way back later. But doing that means you get a wife, but you lose your son. And that's a very unfortunate trade-off. A child is your own flesh and blood. I always tell my children that if you don't marry one woman, you can always marry another. But you only have one set of parents. Now, you also have to consider that you only have one son. As for a wife, it's not this woman. It can be another. Can't it? Who can guarantee that this woman, who's 26 years younger than you, will be completely faithful and devoted to you when you're old and weak? You might be able to lean on each other for a little while. If you're lucky, you become husband and wife, but you're just getting older by the day. You'll get sick, be in pain, have ailments. You'll be weak in one way or another. And then she just brazenly brings her boyfriend home right in front of your face. At that point, excuse me for saying this, but I'm absolutely certain if you really insist, then legally it's possible. It's not a problem. Your daughter-in-law is a stranger now, too. You're a single man, and she's a single woman. Yes, but the trouble is, life isn't just about living by the law. You also have to consider the future and the past. There are still feelings and loyalties. There's still kindness and gratitude. So you should live in a way that's harmonious. Marry whomever you want, but do it with a clear conscience. So you don't have to feel guilty about one thing or pay the price for another. So it's not necessary to leave her right away. You should keep participating in those clubs and all. You never know. You might meet someone else. Maybe you'll find someone you like more. You know. Because if you keep trying this way, you'll be giving up too much, losing too much. You'll lose your children, lose your reputation. You'll lose the respect of others. Then you'll just end up dragging each other to some faraway place to try and make a living. At this age, to be dragging each other to a faraway place to make a living. What if things don't go well? Coming back would be humiliating, and staying there would be even more so. I wish you the best in making the right choices. And now for our second story. My husband is ignoring the debt we owe my family. I'm about to reach my breaking point. If I divorce him over this, I don't know if that's being too cruel to our children. My husband and I have 2 children. The eldest is already high school. 7 years ago, my husband listened to some people and quit his stable job with a good income to go out and start a business, opening his own company. I'm not sure how he calculated or planned things, I just felt it wasn't the right time, but he wouldn't let me interfere, wouldn't listen to me, and only trusted his friends. He borrowed money all over the place, and all our savings were poured into it as well. And tapulo bersama. Result was that the business didn't make a profit for a single day. Before he had to shut it down and ceased operations. Our family went from being comfortable to facing hardship and destitution. We tried everything to get by. From my family alone, my parents and siblings lent us a total of $5 million. As for his family, he said his parents were old and had no savings, so we shouldn't burden them any further. I didn't say anything else. But from then until now, we've only managed to pay back my siblings. He's ignoring the nearly $2 million debt to my parents. I've reminded him so many times. I know he's back at work. And his income is still good because he has deep expertise. But he has absolutely no intention of paying the money back. To my parents, my income takes care of the family and our children. The little I can set aside to pay my parents back is just a drop in the ocean. I don't understand what he does with his salary if he's not paying off the debt. His attitude is also incredibly unpleasant. He said, "Surely your parents aren't going to be stingy about that money with their precious daughter, are they?" I was speechless at my husband's attitude. It got so difficult that I asked, "So, which woman are you giving your money to, that you can't pay back my parents?" He started swearing, cursed me out, called me a short-sighted woman, and told me not to interfere with his plans to rebuild his future. My parents have never pressured us, but I know that if we can't pay back that money, they won't have anything left to rely on if they get sick in their old age. I don't understand why my husband is acting like this. What do I have to do now to make him finally agree to pay back my parents? This is truly a very difficult story to find a resolution for, especially when the person you expect to understand you and walk with you through all of life's hardships no longer offers that support and understanding. We hope that by sharing your story with our channel, you will be able to hear the suggestions and opinions from our audience and make the right choice for yourself. Okay, to our viewers, please don't forget to leave your comments below this video to offer a piece of advice to help our guest. For now, goodbye, and we'll see you all again soon.